Congressman Jason Chaffetz, thanks for being with us this evening. Look, it's been a wild week, the production of documents that many are calling a smoking gun regarding Benghazi. Tell us what happened this week.
Well, we heard testimony from a general who was very candid about being in the room, about the lack of response there from the military, the security profile that was in place, the fact that they actually did send documentation back to the State Department saying that they believe it was al-Qaeda that was responsible for the attacks and Ansar al-Sharia. But then we also had all these gyrations with the documents. And I'm telling you, Judge, this is just outrageous. It's just not the American way, and we're not going to stand for it. As Chairman Issa has said, we're not just playing a game. You have to comply with the duly issued subpoena.
But Congressman, here's the problem. I know you're not playing a game. I was a prosecutor. I was a judge. You subpoena information. You don't get it, and then all of a sudden, 20 months later, somebody else has to have a court case. I mean, there are 3 branches of government that I don't have to tell you, and that you have on the Congressional Oversight and Reform Committee the obligation to make sure that certain other branches are doing what they're supposed to, and they're thumbing their nose at you. So what do you do about it?
Yeah. Well, look, I think the Speaker did the right thing where earlier he announced that he's going to put together a select committee. It's going to raise the stakes. It's going to raise it up a little bit. But we did the right thing in the Oversight and Government Reform Committee. We issued a subpoena in August of last year, and we still have documents trickling. In the last 30 days, we've had roughly 3,200 documents, new documents come in. Thank goodness Judicial Watch did what they did and that they were successful with the courts. But then what you need to understand is now that we've seen the Judicial Watch documents and we've seen the documents that they gave to the Oversight Committee on April 17th, you put them side by side, you look at the exact same document, you're going to find that there are different redactions, and you're going to find that there's different classification. We even have a document where they wanted to retroactively change the classification. It was an unclassified document.
Hold on. You're saying something very significant right now, Congressman. What are you saying? That they are changing the documents after they've been subpoenaed to benefit themselves? If you're talking about the same document, one is subpoenaed by Congress, one is required by a court, you're saying that they are doctoring up these documents?
I'm saying that they're different. You put them side by side, the exact same document, not all of them, okay, but this one in particular that I have seen and I have looked at it with my own eyes. You put that same document side by side, different redactions, different classification, and in another document, it was unclassified, and now suddenly they say, well, that should be classified. In fact, we don't want to have that released until the year 2037.
Congressman,
and it gets to that point, and
how does that make you feel? What do you want to do? What will a select committee be able to do? Because everyone's saying it's a phony scandal. You're coming up with real facts that the White House knew it wasn't a video. And we've got people testifying this week that clearly there was no help sent in Benghazi. Now I've got you saying tonight something incredible, which is they're changing documents that should be the same documents. What do we do?
Well, that's where Chairman Issa has issued a subpoena demanding that Secretary Kerry himself appear before the Oversight Committee. That is still moving forward. The appointment of a select committee to make sure that we get these folks in there. And then we've got to have the subpoena power and the emphasis so that there's not the stovepiping in Congress where you have these different committees looking at different bits of information. Get one group so that these people have the authority and the ability to question witnesses, not just 5 minutes at a time, but for longer periods of time, and get to the truth. That's all we're trying to do is get to the truth.
Congressman, is there any way that you can have one person do the questioning? Because if everybody has 5 committees, they're not 5 minutes, they're not all on the same page. Have a real prosecutor who knows how to get an answer to a question and won't let somebody just dance and, continue to filibuster. Yeah. Is there a possibility of that happening?
I think there is. I don't know exactly how it'll be structured. It's new territory for me. Certainly the House has had history with select committees, but you get somebody like a Trey Gowdy who's been doing this for 20 years, who knows how to draw out the facts and make the case. I mean, look, you do have to have professionals in there. I think I'm pretty good at questioning witnesses, but there's nothing more frustrating than getting up to 4.5 minutes and looking at the clock thinking, I got 30 seconds, and the guy wants to give you a 10-minute answer. And so I think there's a way, and that process through a select committee, I think, can be crafted such where you don't have those types of constraints that you normally have in another setting.
Well, and finally, Congressman, you know, people are still talking about the phony scandal, the Republicans' conspiracies, and all of this stuff. Do you think that a select committee will get us to the point where, with a bipartisan committee from the House, there can ultimately be some kind of sanction for what we now know were lies to the American people from the greatest government on the face of the earth, where they're just bold-faced lies and constant delaying of our getting the truth while 4 men died?
And you hit the right point there at the end. We have 4 dead Americans. We got hundreds of embassies and consulates. We got thousands of people serving overseas. I just want to know how it is that they started to live in what ultimately ended up being this death trap that we know as Benghazi. What happened during the attack? Why did it take so long to get help? And then afterwards, why were we fed this perpetuation of mistruths? I mean, this stuff that was just flat out, they just weren't true. I mean, that's just the facts, and everybody, I think, understands that now. We're going to get to the truth of all this. I'm proud of what the Speaker's doing. I think it's the right move, and we'll get there. We'll get there.
All right, Jason, Congressman Jason Chaffetz, as always, thank you for being with us.